Okay, evening shipmates, and welcome to TFC Season 2, Episode 16. It is the 18th of April, 2017. Evening admins, how are you, ugly bunch?
Hello.
What day is it?
I'm sorry, but you actually just say shitmates.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, did he say shitmates?
You take it as you want it, mate.
Shitmates or shitmates?
That's my Jana Devonish coming out. Don't worry about it. Okay. And good evening, everybody in chat and those that are listening on YouTube. Okay, so here we are. What is it tonight? Tonight is obviously the post-raid roundup and that sort of stuff. And a few other bits and bobs. The update. Let's not mention the word lag, though, hey? Let's not mention the word lag because a bit contentious. However, we have an update to that as well. So we'll start with some slides and we'll break into some reviews and that sort of stuff in a second. Hopefully you got it. Right. So slide pack, as you can see there, it should say TFC Season 2, Episode 16. And what's in tonight's show? Right. So there we go. There's the release. Rouge Corners at the bottom has got a new logo for this week. We haven't quite settled on a permanent logo yet. So anyway, here we go. So Cold War Espionage. So the first of the round of 3 has finished. Okay, then, as we know, it was garrison targets, that sort of stuff. As we know, we were supposed to take in those amazing icebreakers and obviously your mort chucking fleets and those that managed to do obviously the TLC, maybe the odd mono and that sort of stuff. How did we find it, ladies and gentlemen? What did you think? Comments, please. Who wants to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go on, Stu. You tell me all about it.
So, all right. Let's start with something good. It was quick.
Because?
Like, really quick because I blitzed it. But, I mean, like, at the start of the raid, when I first started, I tried to do an A set or whatever with my icebreaker. Performed really bad, which is a bad part. So I switched over to the 89 targets, which I found I could auto them for about 1 gold. Something like that. Which was quite nice. So, 1.6 million points for 1 gold a go. I was quite happy to do it. But I just lacked the effort and blitz because it's too tempting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I am very disappointed with how the icebreaker performed as a fleet in the ASAP.
Yeah, I think we'll summarise that as a collective, that particular hull itself, and what we were hoping it could do and what it actually did do. I think we'll break that one out as a separate in a minute. But target ranges, happy about the target ranges?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take me too long to get through targets. I did try with a tank Citadel fleet. I imagine that probably took quite a long time for certain people. I don't know.
Based on the fleet speed, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine that was some serious butt time. But, I mean, for icebreakers, it would have been quite fast. But they just didn't perform as well as I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they'll do better next month with the flag hull. We'll see how it works. I mean, if the ironclads are anything to go by, then maybe not.
Okay. Cool. All right, then. But you got what you wanted in the end, though, did you, prize-wise?
240 million.
Okay,
so,
you definitely got what you wanted. There's not much left over after that, is there? 240 million definitely hits the counter, I think, on somewhere right now.
On one hour ship build token somehow.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that's nothing to be sneezed at for you, mate. I'm sure you'll be able to just go click.
I really needed that. That's ruined my plans. But no, it's all right.
Cool. Robin, what about yourself?
I enjoyed it. They played with the Citadels. Gosh, I think I played with everything. Citadels and Punisher, Citadels and Zealous and Tideseeker. Also did some Empyreans and some Monoliths. Was a little bit of a challenge getting used to being precise with the tank as opposed to just charging around like I feel like it. And as noted, it was a good raid for people to use a good mix of fleets. There were many people that were out there that were utilizing some very creative fleets with carriers and stuff like that to be able to take pieces of targets. So got everything that I wanted, and everybody, after a little bit of a slow start, was able to get what they wanted. So I think it was really good.
Excellent. Brian, what about you, buddy?
It ended up going well for me. After using the fleet, I spent 120 million points getting and a month and a half, and all the tokens building and watch it get wrecked in a single ice set, I switched to my FM fleet because people were saying they had success with that. So I used that, ran it up to 122 and a half or something like that. Got the top right side, got the gridiron flag, got the tokens, got an M charged armor, and got Tide Secret tokens. It was good. It's a bit of a shame that the fleet that we were sold for this raid did so poorly, especially compared to almost literally everything else in the game. But the flip side of that is that almost everyone else could participate and do well if they had their fleet theory right and their driving skills right.
Yeah,
and
I was
the
just
other side of that is
Brian.
now you know if you're not good. If you couldn't do this raid, there was a serious problem on not Kicksai's part. Go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Brian said. My moan about the icebreaker wasn't that, I couldn't do them with my icebreakers. I'm so pissed everyone did it with Citadels. Like, I'm quite happy that people did it with Citadels. I was just annoyed that I paid so much for a premium hold that really isn't premium.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, I must admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll follow through with the icebreaker and that sort of stuff in a second. So George, in general, how was things for you? How did you find the targets? How did you find the weekend, that sort of stuff? And did you get to murking done at all?
I actually did not murk at all. I skipped playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, essentially. I was a little bit perturbed about the icebreaker thing. I was very happy that, this is probably one of the most virtually engageable raids that we've had in a long, long time. People using everything from Seawolves to Monoliths to, what did you say, Atlas carriers? I
use Atlas carriers. Yeah, I was messing around on Saturday, so I was just grabbing any old feat I could find and just seeing what I could do it with, just for a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, I think I racked up 100 and 140, 150, 160. I don't know. I racked up a bunch of points. Not near as much as I wanted, but I also didn't feel like sitting through the targets because I was expecting them to be fun, like in the preview server. So, and I'll hold off on my icebreaker thing till later. But the other thing that we can probably take away from this is actually a really, really good sign for mid-level players for the FM coming up after this.
Yeah, I agree.
It's if they keep it to at least being engageable with a variety of fleets, that's a fantastic thing. I can't, especially because it's FM and that's the cornerstone of the game. I think that's great. I think that was a fantastic thing that they did. I hope they keep that going into the FM when they convert it.
Yeah, that leads me on to the point I raised already, is that I think it's probably, particularly in the sector I was in, which has got a right raft of, obviously, as the big popular sectors have, it's got a raft of players in it from new starts right the way through, through the 40s and 50s and right through 60s up to 80s, and then, people at 129. And I saw every level of player for a change out raiding, which is so unusual. Normally it's just for the big boys, isn't it? That sort of stuff. And the wannabes, the wannabes are crying, help me. And everybody else is going, I ain't got time at the moment, I'm busy. Or my fleet doesn't work, or I'm getting lag, or I can't stack on that sort of stuff. And actually this time, everybody was just out raiding. That's all they were doing, which was raiding. There was just good banter in the chat and that sort of stuff. Nobody was really asking for any help. They might have been asking for, can you spot a such and such? But that was it. So for the first time in a long, long time, it was all about taking part. Which is a first, I think, for 18 months.
Yep, agreed.
A good long time, a very good long time. But it was a good. If it's indicative of what's going to follow for the FM after this set, it's a good indication.
So as far as I'm concerned, targets, the fact that they reduced the mines, I'd say by a half, if not 2/3. I think the quantity of mines was ideal. It worked fine. I didn't have any issues with it. I managed to drive around them successfully and that sort of stuff. I think engagement of the targets, there was no lag going in. There was no lag, whilst in the target. That was quite decent as well, I must admit. There was enough refresh of the targets, I do believe. For a point, everybody wanted the 89s because they found they could do, the points versus time return was excellent. But in general terms, I think the targets were quite decent, the way they kept dropping in. There was a bit of an issue with people timing out and they would pop and disappear. But then again, we asked for that a few months back because we didn't want targets sitting around that were half dead. So, you can't have it, your cake and eat it sometimes. But in general terms, I'm quite content. And I think as a collective across all the board, I think our expectation management of what the icebreakers could do was either we either pegged it too high, or it's come in quite a little bit under par. What would we agree on that one? What do you think?
Well, I actually did have a stacking issue during the raid.
Oh, right.
And the timing thing for the despawn, I thought they had fixed that to where if you go in and hit it, the timer reset before it despawned.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just got removed, and that was the issue, because people will even, like, I left some targets and they blew up.
Yeah,
Like,
some people that said they were on like an 8
immediately.
Yeah, 20-minute cycle or something like that. And then some people said it was on a 30-minute cycle, and then some people said, but they were definitely blowing up without a doubt.
Yeah,
I saw some.
I found that if somebody needed like the odd target because they were missing one for a set, and so I prepped a couple. If it was like 20 minutes past, I just made them wait till after half past when I hear all the explosions, and then went on to the next, because there was quite a few that I don't know if it was like a couple minutes after the hour or a couple minutes after the half hour, but yeah, once I kind of figured that out and just waited, then I did not have any that exploded.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bad thing. But as for the icebreaker, I'm of two minds. I mean, I think, I am disappointed, but I think in thinking of it, I'm more disappointed in the fact that they're not as fun as they were. You could do this raid with icebreakers. You could do it for damage free if you were really good at driving them. But the problem is that's anathema to the fundamental purpose of a rocket fleet, which is to
blitz,
go in there, blitz, and blow shit up. In the test server, you could go in, and if you wanted to drive instead of letting it auto, you could go in, hit one of the corners, the cold snap would shoot you, but it wouldn't kill you. Like, you could actually get through an 85, I think it was, with like, 20-something minutes of damage, 22 minutes of damage, 15 minutes of damage, something like that. I mean, it was manageable to the point where if you ran an A set, you were doing 3 or 4 coins worth of damage to do that A set, which was cool because it was really fun to drive the damn things. I mean, it was fun to drive them. They took all that fun and just got rid of it completely, because the way you had to drive them was just insane. And I'm aware of the differences between a preview and the live environment in this game, but we kind of expect reasonable changes to be spawned in the interim, not what we saw, and while I didn't expect, like a fundamental change in the use and effectiveness of the hull, 120 million, I did kind of expect it to actually be, at least, if not fun, a good hull for its intended purpose. And it didn't end up being that. And I don't know if it was because they were trying to correct the X armor or what, but if that was the case, I would much rather have the X armor be complete and utter shit and have that hull back to being fun to drive, because I would rather drive that and take some damage than drive damn citadels with the Zealous in front of it. Yeah.
Stu, interesting, mate, because obviously we all know what level you are at that sort of stuff, and obviously you're mostly a PvP player and that sort of stuff. What were you expecting, mate, and what did you find, and what would you prefer? Well, we all know
Sorry, mate. I was miles away when George started talking.
Yeah, it's okay, mate. I know you were sorting out chat, mate. So with the icebreakers, mate, from your experience, you logged in, you did a target, I know you did, and that sort of stuff, and based off of what you were expecting, and then what you actually received and that sort of stuff, what do you think the main issues is? Do you think it's just resistance? Its inability to be as resistive as, I mean, let's be honest, in the 80 target, the Tide Seeker was more resistant.
Well, the Tide Seeker was the I can't think of the word to describe it. The hole to beat, I guess you should say. Like that was the hole that put it out there. Oh, okay, like Tide Seeker with the Harlock Tide Seeker, it was auto in S sets. Now I didn't expect them to do that again. Like I wasn't expecting that to happen again, because it was a sub raid and no one wanted to drive sub, so I understand that. But I did want it to auto A sets with ease. I didn't really want it to be taking some stupid damage in there. Because I know it's something to do with the S sets, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, look, there's a targeting numbering issue that was obviously was brought up as well, because 1 minute they're the A sets, then it's the B sets, but ultimately the 80 set. The 80 set is one down from the top set. I thought I thought this icebreaker set would be able to do 1 to 2, if maybe 2.5 to 3 sets complete.
Yeah, exactly.
Before it died, and I would have been happy with that.
Well, yeah, that's what I kind of wanted out of it. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to do S sets like the Tide Seeker because, like I said, the Tide Seeker was a sub raid. No one wanted to drive subs, or barely anyone wanted to drive subs, whatever. And so I expected it to be really competitive in the A set, like I expected the Ironclad to be really, competitive in the A sets, but they're not. They're awful. And I don't know why I bothered to get it. I should have just gone. No, I think I'll wait.
Well, I'm not saying I'm hoping the flag, because the flag's not the issue, but to me, I just think the resistance needs to be looked at, because in general terms, the rocket reload is fine, the rocket range is generally quite decent, and that sort of stuff, and it works. The maneuverability is fine, that sort of stuff. I think it's the actual resistances, and I think it's the resistances not necessary to, well, it is mostly to explosive damage. The thing is, Tide Seekers have that 95% inherent resistant bonus, haven't they? Once they're sculled and that sort of stuff. And once they're on full bloodthirst. And I think that's what was missing. Now, interestingly, I saw a player who was going around with 5 Tide Seekers with obviously Firestorm mortars on his things, getting into the rocket range quickly in some of the outer areas, and then getting himself full bloodthirst, and he was absolutely annihilating 80 sets and taking hardly any damage whatsoever, and actually made my icebreakers look stupid.
Perhaps
and
the icebreaker needs a decent buff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, the icebreaker was 120 million points.
Yeah. Brian,
that's what I mean. If it had been like a TLC and I won it like the Ironclad, then I could have lived with it. I mean, I was pretty pissed with the Ironclad, but I wasn't like, oh my god, what is this? You know what I mean? But now I've paid 120 million points, and then I've paid another 200 million points for the armors to go with it, because the armors were supposed to be brilliant. And I'm looking at the fleet, and I'm like, why did I do this?
Yep.
I have no I can't think of a genuine reason why I picked up this hull for 120 million points.
Yeah, the Tide Seeker is supposed to do well. Not only does it get super high explosive resist that you're already building into the hull, it's 80% normally, and then you're probably going to put MX on. It gains it in Bloodthirst, and it gains like 67% splash damage reduction at full Bloodthirst.
It's crazy, yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, oh, I take less than 1% of the damage of whatever. You don't need siege deflection at that point. Structure deflection, sorry, except no one cares.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so like less than 1% of the damage. At that point, it doesn't matter. But why was it tuned to that and not the other thing? And the charged armors with the high minimum damage of the charged armor, which they still need to really look at that. Because if they're going to have so many things that are explosive and firing so quickly, the minimum damage, like it being set so high, doesn't matter. Again, I was taking more damage in a 63 than an 81 with one icebreaker with charged armor, which is completely stupid. I'm more sad that how the way it was sold to us and the way that they said after the January raid, okay, we made mistakes. We're not doing these sorts of mistakes again. In terms of, yes, it was the tech release, but also the kind of setting expectations for hulls. They said they were going to be a little clearer with how they expected the hulls to perform and in what sets. And we were told that the icebreakers would be able to do the top set well, like 2 to 3 sets before repairing, I think they said, if we built them well.
Yeah.
And based on all the previews, we built them as well as we could have from the preview. And it just didn't work. We were sold it so hard. We were sold these armors so hard. And everything just fell completely apart. Charged armor or not, it didn't matter.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really good point in that that's the expectation they led us to believe, and we saw that in the preview server. They actually performed, I think, admirably. Like that's what I expected of them was in the preview server, right? And I think that rather than reduce the minimum damage on that X armor, they changed the targets to make the X armor more viable in the A set, which completely just borked the icebreaker. I mean, I would like to see them go back and just say, look, the X armor is junk. I can live with them even saying the X armor is junk, even though I bought them all. Fine, the X armor is junk. I want my fun back.
Even with the X armor, though, it was miserable. You were taking 35 a shot from so many rapid salvos of cold snaps. If they want to fix it, they just have to lower the minimum damage. That's all.
Well, that was in the 60s though, right? In the 80s, it was working okay-ish.
Ish, but still, as Tideseeker was still outperforming it. That's a whole
See, I mean, and that's an issue. I mean, at this point, just either lower the minimum damage or just get rid of the damn, convert them all to M armors for everybody that's got some. I mean,
the thing is,
I would much rather take some damage and have some damn fun with that 120 million point hull that I blew a month building and tokens and some coin. I mean, this is yeah, no, I'm not a happy camper about that. Which is really bad because the rest of the raid was awesome.
If you're truly autoing the A sets, you're constantly in range of like 2, if not 4 cold snaps on most of those platforms. So even the charged armor isn't really going to help. The other thing too is Kixeye. So I understand that you watch this and that you're listening right now. So let me just real talk here. If you are going to dictate to us so precisely what we need for these raid cycles, you're going to have to back up the talk that the communication that you give to us as players when you tell us what is supposed to hit what and what we're supposed to use. If you're going to go and tell us that icebreakers should be able to hit the top targets and do so well, that should be able to happen in the manner which it was described on auto. On auto, you couldn't even complete an A set. You're dead. And that's not even with the full fleet, not even with the flagship. But if you're going to say to me that icebreakers should be able to do tier 6 if done well, and I do them as well as you want me to, then I should be able to do just as well as you say. And if not, then we're not going to listen to you. And it's going to come back around where, oh, I didn't listen to Kixeye and my raid went poorly. And then the counter reply is, well, you should have listened to them. But the counter to that is, yeah, but I listened to them so many times before and my icebreakers performed poorly and the ironclads didn't go off to snub and all these other things that just didn't work because the product quality is so bad on release. We can't win for losing. There's no way if we follow you, they're not going to perform as well as you say, and we're going to be frustrated. If we don't follow you, we're going to fail and we're going to be frustrated. But we can't, there's no right decision for us to make as players while there's such a huge dissonance between what you say the holes are supposed to do and what they actually do. You can't have it both ways. So get your design on point.
Yep, no, got you. Understood. Other things we're going to talk about quickly is I know well that the Imperiums worked very well. I know there's plenty of people that were using those, which is nice to see. So thumbs up there. Zealous as a tank was working very, very well. It was a fast little fleet, which was nice to see. And I wouldn't say it was better than the Citadel fleet. It just got you around the target quicker. I'm not sure if the end result of killing the target was any faster, but already, I mean, we'll get back to it in a minute. The hull is reusable, and the good thing about it is that there's another set of weapons that's now available for that fleet as well already.
Yeah, Zealous tanks did very, very well in the targets, at least the 80s. I mean, I was using a Zealous with Citadels and Harlock lead, and it was good. I mean, I know we just went negative for a little bit there because honestly, I mean, that's just the truth. Everyone's pissed off about the icebreaker, but and it's bad because it actually detracts a little bit from a raid that was overall really, really good given the depth of tech you could use. I mean, I saw people with Apollos even, for crying out loud, hitting some of these targets.
Yeah, I mean, there was some good stuff. I mean, the 89 I think got a bit of a tweak mid raid and that sort of stuff. And one thing I did notice actually, there was a phantom. Like you would kill off not the cold snap, but the other target that was in there as well, the rocket that was in there as well, and then you would drive your tank down close to it, and all of a sudden your whole fleet was vaporized. And I saw that happen to quite a few people. Physically saw that happen because I was watching quite a few people doing some of their raids, and because I'd finished mine, and they were driving down, shooting things, and then all of a sudden they drive down to go to the next section, and all of a sudden their fleet just disappeared. Yeah,
I'm curious. I had several people mail me that. I think I had 4 or 5 of them actually send me pictures, though. They took snapshots for me, and in every one of the mines had been hit. And I wonder if it's the combination of the two that actually was doing it. Did you notice if those people were hitting a mine somewhere?
No, I didn't actually. I mean, I even videoed it, so I have to go back and have a look, I must admit.
Yeah, because I'm kind of curious now about it, because because I had a bunch of people say something about it, and every time they grabbed a pic for me, there was that one mine kind of like in the middle-ish there that was
the
just
two areas I
and
saw
I was like,
myself. Yeah, so 2 areas I saw it happen myself is when they were in the 89, they were driving obviously from the very, very start, and they killed the top cluster on the right-hand side there, turned the corner, killed the 2 executioners that were in there and that sort of stuff, and then turned down south towards that first talk tower, killed the talk tower, and just as they got to around that area where it would have been, that's when they got vaporized. And then the mines hadn't actually started then.
See, the ones that I got were all on it was the turret all the way to the left.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
one that was like, it's kind of hidden, and a lot of people didn't see it and were getting nailed by it. But I mean, I think I only hit 2 of those, so I wasn't really completely familiar with the target. I just noticed that there was a mine in every single picture that had been hit. And I was like,
the 89?
Yeah, the 89, mate. Yeah.
Oh, they changed that. 100%.
Yeah, they did mid-turn, didn't they? Yeah.
Like, I was so pissed because I didn't believe it either. Hang on. Yeah, I didn't believe it either, right? I'd already finished my raid, right? I mean, I blitzed it, so. And then I got a message, and it was like, "Oh, would you mind trying your icebreaker complete? Like, how many gold were you doing it for?" And I said, "Oh, the average cost was about 2 gold. If I was lucky, I did it for about 1 gold." And I'm like, "Would you mind trying again?" So I did. I went in there, dead fleet, and I was just like, "Yeah," it just killed me off, and I was just like, "Yeah, all right, see you later, I'm out."
Wow.
And that was it. I didn't look back into it one day. I was so done. Right? So yeah, they definitely buffed that.
My glitch deaths were around the mortars, oddly enough. I had one in an 81 and one in an 83 because my backline was completely out of range of any rocket thing that you could think of, but they were sitting by mortar things and it was dead, and my whole backline just exploded. Also, the executioners had anti-mortars, if you noticed, because some of my judgments would merv, and there was nothing in range, but but the executioner turrets, they shoot missiles and they somehow anti-mort.
Oh, they're Patriot missiles then.
Yeah, I saw that in the 89 in the corner with just the 2 executioners.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't see that. So that's a little glitch in the target. Okay. But moving what judgments isn't too bad if you've got plenty of judgments. So in general terms then, I mean, that's a good bit of feedback. So okay, we're generally happy. The prize ladder is as per normal. Those that basically, I think those that saw people using the icebreakers, then all of a sudden en masse, I mean, they had a little poll quickly of the weekend of who thinks you're going to take the icebreaker, and basically nobody. So I can imagine most people either didn't do the left or right tier at all, or if they did anything, they probably went right and took the new defender hull, more than likely, the Harlox Alpha. And then obviously down the bottom end, we've now got the flag to go with the Imperiums, which is nice. If you wanted to get into the lock store, then get obviously the Fasago's iron icebreaker. That's there. I don't know if the enemy is actually going to build it, but I took it because I like collecting holes. And I think the best thing still is the Harlox Citadel for 6 million. I think that's really good, and that still will be viable. It's a hard individual hole to beat, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fantastic stepping stone for someone to get into this raid and then use in the FM if they don't have the whatever they win this raid set ready. I mean, it is kind of, I wish they had knocked down the build time a little bit on it, but even still, I mean, it's a very hard hitting hull for a tier 5. Yep.
Cool. Okay. Right. Let's get ahead of ourselves a bit more, Fermi. So here we go. There's a Foundry update that's obviously happened today, and it's good news as far as I'm concerned. So it says there, there's been many changes to Foundry. These changes were done to help players. Now, it's something we canvassed a little while back and that sort of stuff, and something I know a couple of the pages have done so as well. So we saw the Foundry going, well, it's a nice concept and that sort of stuff. It was too chory. It basically made you go out onto the world map and then hunt for heaven and earth for some targets, that stuff, or wait to the right timeline for them to turn up, and then all of a sudden, you would get a chance of getting the right piece or not the right piece, that sort of stuff as it decided to turn up. That's all been zapped and it's gone now, and basically we've gone back to an extended version, obviously, of your what used to be done as the routine Forsaken sort of like upgrades. So what's good news is basically if everybody looking at this one here then, so we've removed the fragments and compounds requirement for each Foundry tech. As I said, the world map targets will no longer drop fragments. Why? Because they're no longer required. Okay, so they're gone off the world map, which should, which I put in my comment on the page, reduce lag a little bit because less targets equals less lag. However, we'll do with lag in a second. In general terms, that will help with lag in the game because like less sprites equal less lag. There's less of them to actually produce, which is nice. So So they've granted basically all tier 1 to tier 3 for everybody, or for everybody that's basically, as you can see there, players levels over 30 who have at least owned level 1 in the intelligence lab will find tier 1 and 3 the foundry holes in the shipyard and blueprints and inventories have been done. So that's a nice gift, isn't it, really, to be honest?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody they don't have to build these things.
No, of course not.
There's a reason they're giving them away.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. They're nice to haves, but don't even bother because they won't get you very far in the raid unless you're only sort of doing Forsaken tech at the real low level sort of stuff. So some of them berserkers. If you've never got anything that can chuck a mortar, then berserker is a good little hole. But the build time is ridiculous, and I'd move past it onto something else. But yeah,
it is a bit of a shame. It is a bit of a shame that they're basically saying tier 1 through 3 tech is so worthless towards general progression that we're giving it away for free. That's how much we value them. It's great because we get all the stuff.
They're obsolete. But they're obsolete. I mean, they are.
Yes, they are. It is sad, but yes.
I mean, I would have said obsolescent, but they're now obsolete. But the thing is, I'd like to have thought tier 3 would have got you at least tier 3 in the FM and getting you towards tier 4. But that's not the case, I don't think, to be honest.
Some people still use Novas for things.
I saw people using Nova Storms.
I use Nova Storms in the raid. I have to say I tested that as well, but then I use Atlas Carrots as well.
This raid was an abnormality, an aberration.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, an aberration. Thank you.
Okay, so but bear in mind then, so skirmish, assault, siege, and garrison are the things that are in the foundry, that sort of stuff. And then the foundry, it's now a bit like it's gone back to almost like old Forsaken tech, where basically you just go in there, you've got the stuff, and then you basically research the next level. You research level 1 through to 5, that sort of stuff. That's good. That takes you to the next one, and then you climb obviously the ship ladder through that means. Some of the research times are extremely long. Some of them are quite reasonably low. They nearly all require a little bit of uranium, but that's not generally too hard to get these days. And even if it's difficult for you to get, if you can do some of the FM, then you can stack up your uranium. Example, as everybody's complaining about, and that's the 50 days to get your citadels up to R5. Well, you couldn't get them to R5 at all before, so let's not complain too much. You're going to get virtually free because you get uranium from doing your FM and that sort of stuff, and res comes from the FM as well. So at least
that timer.
Yeah, go on.
Starting that timer does not stop anything else. It doesn't prevent anything else from happening. You can do that, and it doesn't affect anything. You just do it, and it happens.
It just sits in the background. Yeah, and that's like good old Forsaken tech research. Once it starts, that's it. Crack on with the game.
And you can
you can research everything at once.
Yeah, you can do concurrent researches on this. With regard to the Citadel, though, I do want to mention that there's a 50-day thing on that last one. There's a lot of people that are complaining that didn't get
you don't
bumped.
Need it.
No, I mean they're saying that they complained they didn't get the bump to R5. You didn't really need it. The R4s performed well, and those that didn't get it to R5, some of them didn't have Berserkers done, and some of them hadn't gotten up to R4 yet. And someone was like, "Oh, it's not fair." Well, you know what? They worked their tail off to get it up to R4 in the first place, so they bumped them one spot. If you got bumped from 3 to 4, they got bumped from 4 to 5. I mean, the one thing that I do have a little bit of an issue is if you didn't have the Berserker, rather than get yours bumped to R5 if you're already at R4, you got the Berserker instead, which kind of seems like a crummy thing. I would suggest people send in a ticket, they might have some mercy and give you the R5.
There's always a line somewhere, though, isn't there? So at the end of the day, someone's always on the wrong side of the fence. You've got to draw a line somewhere, and some people will fall on the left-hand side, which is a yay side, and some people fall on the right-hand side and they go, ooh, You're either in the club or you're out the club, and sometimes you're just on the wrong side of the fence. It's just the way it is. Robin, you got something to say?
Just a note too, because I know a lot of people are upset about the 50-day time and saying that by the time you get your Citadel to R5, the raid will be over. Remember, raid targets become the FM target, and remember, they just put the Citadel into the weekly for people. So there are a whole lot of people out there that are just now starting to build their Citadels. And so though personally it may not affect me because I've moved on to monoliths and things like that, there are players that will still benefit from this.
No, agreed. And there's a couple of people in chat complaining that, I hate stuff when it all comes free and that sort of stuff. I could say the same thing. I actually physically coined my, I can't believe I'm saying this, but my gantry to build my Hyperion and that sort of stuff, And now basically it's everyone just off you go, crack on. you can just do it. You know, if you've got the right bit of R&D, you can crack on and just go start building it. And actually, on the world map today, I thought that was part of the lag because there were so many gantries building and that sort of stuff. Boy, they got a shock. But you know, it's interesting. But then again, I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, I did mine months and months and months ago. How long do we make people sit back and wait? You know, I think 3 months is more than plenty, to be honest. Otherwise, the game's just not going to keep the people interested in that sort of stuff. So, you know, that's my personal thought anyway. But there we go. So yeah, normal things. It's a normal counter, timer, and that sort of stuff. There you go. There's an example there that you can see on the screen. It's 7 days, 7 days, 1 hour, blah, blah, blah. If you wish to, you can instant research it. I can't imagine why you would, to be honest. But, you know, some people like these things and some people don't. For me, it's actually given me something to do because I hadn't had anything in my base for a while.
Real quick. So some math, that time that you're seeing on that slide right there and the instant research.
It's not the 1 for 1, is it? By any shame?
It's not. I think that's costing resources that you can't see on screen, but actually also for the gantry, because I don't have mine built yet, I did that math too, and it came up, it's 2016 coins if you wanted to speed build your gantry, but the amount of time that would take to do that, oh, it is 2016 exactly. I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else, but yeah, just it's okay.
Cool. Okay.
Gantry.
So there we go. Like I say, so timers and that sort of stuff. So as it says on there, we've completed a current, there's some examples here. So we've completed a current tier 4 or tier 5 research for you. Okay, players currently working on tier 4 or tier 5 Foundry Tech for each ship class. We're going ahead and grant you the next hull, basically. So like that was the issue that obviously was mentioned before. If you didn't have the previous hull, you had to get the hull. That was then granted to you, but unfortunately you didn't jump a tier as well. So you didn't get a double bubble, unfortunately. So, but, you know, so if you don't own the blueprint, congrats, you do now. But obviously, if you did own the blueprint, congrats, you've gone up another level, sort of stuff. If you own both, then we've given you and we've retroed you and that sort of stuff. So, you know, so they didn't take things away. I think it's a much better system. There's less targets to mess around with and that sort of stuff, you know. And in general terms, okay, and it's a freebie, and it's actually it's an optional. So if you've got a bit of stuff to do, then don't need to do it. But if you've got nothing to do, to be honest, then just press the button and just let it sit around the background and update it itself. So what, you know? And at least your obsolete citadels in 6 months' time, or R5 obsolete citadels in 6 months' time, and not R4. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I like it because it actually kind of streamlines a little bit of the game for mid-level players and players that are coming in now. And it should, I think, I mean, I have to sit down and go through it all, but I think it should help get them up to relevance quicker than the old system, like significantly quicker than the old system.
Now, yeah.
We'll see. I think it's a plus. I think it's a positive.
I think people lost faith with going out and looking for all these the Foundry targets, or to be honest, as well as doing their FN, as well as doing all the other stuff. I think they just lost a bit of faith in it and that sort of stuff. So that's what we've been selling anyway, and it seems to have paid off anyway. But yeah, there's an example there. That was the 2,000 that Brian was talking about a minute ago on coins for the research of obviously timer on the gantry, etc., and that sort of stuff. So yeah, you know, you can crack on, get on with it. You know, certain R&D levels, that sort of stuff, and you know, having to save up your 120 gantry tokens, that's all gone. So yeah, great, move it on. It's all good. There are some restrictions. You can see them there. Basically, levels is obviously level 30, and like I said, you know, it's intelligence now level 1. Well, that's just one of the first things you produce anyway to do anything decent. So it's not really hard. To get to that level, I don't think, to be honest. So, but obviously, you do need to be to that level already. I don't know if there's any retrospective updates. Whether you start retro, you know, intelligence lab level 1, and all of a sudden, then you'll be finding lots of holes there that are already T3. I've not seen that come to fruition yet, so that would be a guess.
How many research days do we get per FM? 2 of them, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Yes.
You get 1 day.
2 12s, 2 12s, 2 1s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 12s, 2 1s. So you get 2 days, 3 days every week, right?
No, you get 1 day and 2 hours.
You get 1 day and 2 hours. Oh, that's
Nice
right. It's
math,
1 hour
George.
limit, right. So hey man, anyway. So between the FMs, we're gonna have 2, 4, 6.5 days, right?
Approximately.
Of tokens. So I mean, that 50 days really is gonna be like 44 days, 43 days. So it's gonna be just over a month. It's not as bad as, you know, oh my God, 50 days.
Yeah.
But it is a good chunk of time. I will say it's not what I was
It's a
expecting.
big number, but compared to when your Gantry was building, it's nothing.
Hopefully, we will get some research tokens in an upcoming raid that we can use on stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
still
go.
ticked you couldn't use them for R&D.
Research tokens would be nice in a raid. If anyone's paying attention, that would be a nice little addition.
Who pays attention?
Yeah.
Come on, move on.
Director stuff too.
Okay, and then there's the example there basically. So you can see then it's retrofitted, obviously those two holes there. Then, so if you click on the actual the blueprint itself, so if you clicked on the Berserker, then it will bring up this Berserker screen, and there you are. It tells you how far you got in the retrofit stage, and obviously that's where it's ready to. It says you've got enough res, enough uranium, and click away, and there you are. You got 7 days, and it'll be to the next level, and then you can move on to the next one. And then obviously it jumps into the Citadel. Now you can see them because the person's already got the blueprint. Obviously that's it. That was already at R3 as well. So the numbers above the thing. So you can see on there on the left-hand slide piece of the slide there, Assault. There's one there to be retrofitted, and the Garrison has got 2. Siege has got 1, and so on down the line as well. So interesting. It says it's a little something against Mega. So I'm not quite sure what. Maybe you hadn't built it or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah. So that's that slide basically in a nutshell. Like I said, these slides will be up at the on the page as ever once we finish the show. Right, Forsaken mission updates. So they've added a new garrison target then, obviously, as they've stated there, the Forsaken mission, which will drop a reinforced chest, which is interesting. This target is specifically designed for the Icebreaker or the Monolith. Probably the latter, but we'll see. Okay, not that I'm a skeptic. Okay, this target will pay out at the same FM points as the current 109. Okay, so that's quite decent, isn't it? Okay, drop rate, it will drop a reinforced treasure chest containing an Icebreaker VXP token or a Monolith VXP token. Oh, people can be searching those out, aren't they? VXP is quite a thing that we could do with at the moment, especially on the Monoliths. We've also added a Blitz ×5 feature to the level 60 FM targets. I'm not sure if that will please people or not. Depends what the cost is. Doesn't say how much.
I'm curious about that new FM target. I'm kind of surprised that they put an FM target in now.
Yeah, because obviously they're about to change them, aren't they, as well? Or they should be about to change them.
In like 3 months, they're about to change them.
Should be end of July.
Well, it's an
end of July,
addition rather than a replacement, so I'm not...
Yeah,
I'm not
but let's just hope
overly
it's not.
fast.
It's got to be something of the new format, because obviously taking icebreakers into the current ones, like the
Doesn't
109s,
work too well, yeah.
it
Well,
doesn't
yeah, that's
end up
correct,
doing you too
but-
good, does it?
I don't mind if they add something. I just don't want them to replace something. So I don't want them to go, okay, like, you now can't have the 109, now you've got to hit with Icebreaker or Monolith. Like, that's when I'll get pissed off.
So let's just hope they've added the target that was in the, or the target damage sort of quality and quantity that was in the obviously the preview, and not the one that's obviously in the main raid, because that wasn't so fun.
Amen.
We don't have half a pair anymore.
No, exactly, because that would be expensive. Okay. And as it says, as part of the Foundry update, basically they've removed the Foundry prerequisites components that are not listed as essential tech. You may notice some changes in the prize list overall. Well, we will. We'll have a look and see what has been removed. But what has been added? That's the question. Okay,
Yep.
So here we go. First, obviously the, and I'm not sure these are actually in order, but they're definitely up anyway. So this is the first of the T6 items, the top level stuff.
The kinetic buffer. I'm kind of two minds of this. This is supposed to reduce projectile speed of incoming projectiles, but the thing is, it says that it affects ships, and with a range of just 90, I think, just going to be for blitz fleets. I don't know if that means that there's a blitz hull coming or it's just filler. I'm not sure, but
I am of one mind. No.
yeah, I mean, now we don't know if it stacks, because that would be really interesting if you had like 3 of them right at the front and it stacked up to 210% reduction in projectile speed.
To stop what?
Like rockets.
What is this?
I mean, I don't know, whatever is shooting at you.
Well, hang on a
but
minute.
the catch is who's going to be 90 range in range.
Exactly.
You'll find out in a second. You'll find out in a second. Okay. Right. So there's this range thing. It's 90. Okay. Projectile speed reduced by 70. Okay. The thing on rockets, projectile speed reduced by 70%. Who cares? Because rockets, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter how slow they land as long as they land.
So first off, the ship has to be within 90 range of this thing, not the projectiles, the ship. So like if you have your oppressors or vendettas on the outside chucking mortars in, those aren't going to get slowed down. They're going to go at full speed. Your liberators outrange this. Your pride outranges this. And if all you're hoping is that they have like one vendetta crawling in against your outpost and this is your last line of defense, bro, you lost. Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we have Laredo in the chat, so I actually want to kind of throw this out real quick to see if he has gotten any clarification. But I have conflicting info with regard to that bonus effect, because the way I read this and the way my understanding was that if you put this on an outpost, you got an extra 30% added to the 70.
What, you
right?
can put on a ship and on an outpost?
Oh,
And
91% versus
this
100%.
goes on a turret or a whatchamacallit, warehouse or something.
Yeah, right,
What I'm
so
saying
you're
is if it goes on to one of the mods in the forum said that 30% is map wide if you put it on your outpost.
What?
And I'm not sure that's accurate. So
I don't
Well,
think
that's
not the
that,
way.
It's
that's
actually
not how
very
that goes.
See, and Laredo just said, pro tip, put the special on your OP. And
Wait, Stu, what are you
very
saying?
curious.
Wait a minute.
So the actual description is very conflicting anyway. It says it affects ships, which leads me to believe that unless a ship is within 90 range of this special, it gets no effect.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
So that
what
means
we're.
that so that means that anything that goes into the 90 range of a ship that's not in 90 range is not affected by the projectile speed debuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, your mortar
So-
truckers outside the base should not have their projectiles.
Laredo just said it's map wide on the OP.
Well, that's the one place it's going, isn't it?
Well, then
Fucking
fix the
fuck.
That is
blueprint to
the-
tell us that now.
That is the shittiest way I've ever seen to have that information shared on a blueprint, ever.
Yeah, that would have been really nice to know that.
You mean invisible, as in not at all.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
not
add-
usually when that's done like that. That means that is the range is the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
or
what
there's
I'm gonna do
another
is,
range
guys, I'll add something to the slide to make sure that's
Yeah,
highlighted.
I'm still
Before-
not using it even with that buff.
Well, 30%, mind you, 30% off of 260 from some ships is nothing, but yeah, 30%.
I'd rather have my offense and my triple salvo of death.
Everyone's got their own little bits. It's another thing for the old, pack of cards, isn't it? So, Robin,
Yes.
anything?
No, I'm good.
Good. I just thought I had you been quiet there for a little while. Okay, moving on.
Robin, these scrubs are talking too much.
Exactly. Got to stop George. Right. Okay. So we've got a different scat again. Okay. This one's another tier 6. Okay. Item. So it's the top pack again. So this is weapon number 2 or item number 2. So we've had one for the turrets. This is obviously the weapon now. This is obviously a scattergun. It's not quite of the same length range. Sorry, because it's 85 as opposed to 88 and that sort of stuff. It's reasonably on the buffs and that sort of stuff. The reload time is 8, so that's quite decent. Multi-shot is 5, quite like that. The wall damage and the building damage is okay. Splash is 6, quite lower than most. Yeah, it's good. It's corrosive and that sort of stuff, but I wouldn't be putting this on any defenders, definitely, because you'd be outranged no matter what you put it on.
Well, the holes themselves have the range buff that'll make you equivalent to a pride.
Yeah, but that's it. That's not enough.
I'm not sold on this. The spread's really wide. The splash is really small. I have yet to. I'm gonna wait until we see everything come out and I know what stacks with what to try to do some damage math on this. But the multi-shot of 5 lessens the effect of your multi-shot specials. It looks like this is just trying to chunk people out with minimum damage, except this time it's corrosive instead of radioactive like you would with a thrower.
But ultimately,
I'm not impressed.
The damage is way higher than the other one for ships against ships.
against ships, yeah, because that's what it says. Because that's in
that's
the,
what
look at the
it's
blueprint.
for.
It tells you that.
No, the damage for the other one, the damage for the Calamity is 6750 versus
Exactly,
ships.
and that's what I'd
you're
use.
comparing Calamity. I got you. All right.
I use the Calamity.
yeah.
I mix Calamity obviously with the one that's already built for the Pride. So, which is what I've done on some of my guard as well. So you can.
Yeah, I just compared it to the Ruin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
So, but look, at the end of the day, if you couldn't do the Pride, obviously TLC and that stuff, you couldn't get the Ruin, that sort of stuff. Then this, yet again, in the FM, this is the second line. So this is the one down. But if you manage to get to FM and you manage to get to tier 6 regularly and that sort of stuff, you've got something. So
Then pride preps. Fear the pride preps.
yeah, I love my Prides.
Because you're not killing turrets with that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but do you know what? It's not for every level, but somebody that's around the mid levels, that sort of stuff, that is managed to smash the FM. Yeah, it gives them another option. So
Why is it in prize pool 5 then?
because if you've got Harlocks and sits, Tide Tank and some sits, you can get to price pool 5. And how long has the price, Punisher been out, and how long Citadel's been out? So a wise person at mid-level would still be up there. Maybe not all the way through, because essentially Monster's not here because he still's not going to get to this, whether he wants to or not. But his prize is built anyway. Right. Okay. Let's go on a bit further. Go on then, George. You can have this one.
I'm waiting for it to come up. Oh yes, the window panes. Okay. So my window pane clusters, I actually really like this special, mainly because of that weapon weight, because this will replace the emissions generator and the barrel systems 3, which both cost 19% for weapon weight. This one gives you the same 2 multi-shots if you're not using it on heavy weapons. It still gives you the same 2 multi-shots, but at a 12% weapon weight cost, which
12's
is fantastic. Yeah, compared to the 19. It's great. You can actually squeeze some more stuff in your builds and stuff, and it is complementary to the new gun as well with the scattergun reload, and you could probably use it in a couple other things as well.
I've got some ideas. Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas. I put it in. I think I hinted a Pride Defender in the blog today. So yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot. Actually, it's probably the only one of the bunch that I was like, ooh, that's cool on first review. So
so I'm just laughing in the chat. Someone's made a funny comment, made me giggle. Apparently I don't know any mid-level players. Okay, move on then. Okay, so here we go. This is the first of the generalist one. So we've dropped down onto the next one now. So this is obviously tier 5 and that sort of stuff then. Okay, it's tier 5 item, obviously, but it's in prize pack with them below because it's all prize packs. That's what they're called these days. So there we go. So here is an interesting rocket. Okay, then it's got a spread of 90. It's got a range of 68. Okay, and a splash of 20. The reload rate, as ever for rockets. Okay, the reload time is obviously 0.6 and that sort of stuff. But don't forget, it's got to spew out all its rockets and that sort of stuff. However, it's only got a salvo of 2, so it's got 2 rockets to spew out. Interesting. Boost explosive defense and boost penetrative defense. 5% on each.
Reload at 2/3 on this. Even less considering the special.
So
I mean, this
doesn't need ranking, does it? What it is?
Not even slightly. This is clear. I mean, I feel like this is more meant for the Zealous.
Yeah, very much so. It is Zealous. This is a Zealous thing. So this makes you the Zealous were doing very well in the raid, by the way. So this is another thing.
Well, as a tank frontline, was anyone ever using them as a blitz fleet? I don't.
I've saw a couple of them. Yeah, doing very well.
Launchers and cannons with the max range, maybe.
They were doing very well.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking with rockets.
No, good lord, no. I'm talking about with launchers and particularly with cannons. The dedicated cannon for the generalist. But again, this gives you explosives and pen boost for each one. And actually, they're pretty well. They're not pretty light, but they're reasonable. They're the same sort of weight as what the cannon. The cannon is for this hull as well. So.
And they're in prize pool 4. Yeah. In prize pool 4. That's the best part about these, I think. People can get to these.
Yeah. So I saw a Quake cannon. Quake cannon? Yeah, it was. Fleet, and it absolutely ripped the heck out of the 80s. So this is just another option. It's the fact that this is nice. It gives you explosive and penetrative defense buffs, which obviously you can buff the generalist quite decently. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know whether it all fares up again, like say against cold snaps and that stuff. I don't know. But, okay. The next bit is the bit that goes with it, obviously. So this is the important piece.
I was so disappointed at this. This got me so
exhausted.
Yeah.
Really?
It got me so excited up until I read Hull Class's Generalist. I was
but that's done for a reason, mate.
I was just so psyched for this. I was like, yes, my icebreakers are going to fucking work. Oh, shit, Generalist.
Your icebreakers were going to flipping work, but as ever, any Generalist special is linked to the Generalist hull for a reason, because actually it would kill the game if it wasn't. So, yes, the hulls themselves in the Generalist fleet look underwhelming, but as soon as you put their specials on, they come back to somewhere just below the top level stuff, and this one's doing the same thing yet again. So stick this on your Zealous and stick those rockets on there, and then you are within a bit of a sort of like a scratching chance of doing some quite decent damage, I do believe.
Keyword being
I don't know. I think they needed to make the range a little more, because this plus the special, and neither, unless I'm incorrect, neither Generalist hull has any type of boost for rocket range or speed or anything like that. It's still a really low range.
77.5 I'm getting.
Yep. Yeah, you're below what's required. But I just imagine having you
Well,
try and put as many of these on as you could, wouldn't you? You know, because you're going to get that 5% buff on obviously pen defense and explosive defense.
I mean, if you're on the Zealous, you have the 4 forced countermeasure slots, so not so much, and those actually will give you better defense per slot if you use Gale 3s than the normal things will. I like the splash damage reduction. I think that's the only good part of this special.
Yeah. And you know, it's just another tool for the toolbox in the generalist range. So it gives you some options, doesn't it? You know, I've not built a single generalist hull apart from one Zealous tank. That's what I've built so far. So, and I probably never will, but that's not the point. Anyway, okay. So VXP weekend, again, starts on Friday, finishes on Monday. Starts at 9, finishes at 9. No change. Okay. Yep. 55s. There they are again. Okay. The entire time. Salvages ×2 VXP. Okay. The next line is the important one.
Interesting. Yes.
The next line.
Hold on to your butts.
Okay, then. The 101 is going to pop out, okay, Friday 9 a.m. PST time, okay, till Saturday 9 p.m. So it's out for 36 hours. And it'll be similar to May's S target. It won't be the S target, but it will be similar. So snapshots at the ready. Take some pictures. Let's have a look at it. And let's have a look at the difficulty. We know that we should be able to rank on monoliths and that sort of stuff because it should be a garrison target.
And
well, I think a lot of people that have sculled fleets are probably going to be hitting these as well.
Just a test.
I am. Yeah, I'm.
Press the test.
Right.
Yeah.
Suicide your icebreakers, watch them die, and rage quit the game.
I suggest you don't hit icebreakers. Yeah.
wait, no, Stu, I already did that last week.
Wait, put your conquerors in here, die, and then rage quit and say, "Why can't my conquerors work in PvE targets?"
Yeah,
that's how it works.
So that's the VXP weekend. Okay. You'll notice that basically there was a hint actually that there was going to be the Homelands TLC and that stuff, and it was taken out again. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Obviously, the Homelands TLC was for the defense missile turret and that sort of stuff, but it seems to have dropped off. It was an initial update, but then it got taken out. Not quite sure what's. Laredo says it's next week now. Okay, dokie. So we've got a week of no TLCs. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay, but Homelands is next week. Okay. So bug fix the tuning. Tune, these are for you. And the reason there's a box on the 2 below. So, which I'll explain in a minute.
All right, lovely. Fixed an issue where the Ghost Crawler stun blast was not firing correctly when it emerged from deep dive.
Woohoo! Good.
Yay! I can use my Ghost Crawler never again.
I use mine quite a lot.
I try to, but I get bored. Fixed an issue where the health bar for endgame campaign targets was not displaying any health. Okay. Fair play. Removed. I can't even say that word.
Erroneously.
Yeah, let's go with that. Displayed effective classes. Stat displayed in the stat block. What? Stat block of turret within a range of tactical installation. That was awful. I don't want to read that one ever again. Brian, you can do anything that has a word like that from now on.
That's a George one, okay.
Right. We have corrected the issue where the client would lock up on instant research of Foundry tech. We have also fixed an issue where the Polonium Accelerator range bonus wasn't properly being displayed.
Correct. Everyone's been complaining about that. Yep.
Titanium drops should be fixed at this time. Thanks for your patience. Okay, why have I got a giant red box?
Right then. So basically, the top one
Yes.
was the cause of the lower one.
Don't laugh at me, George.
So basically, where it says that we've discovered
an issue with the R&D objective window not displaying. We're looking into it. We are aware of the reports of heavy latency on the world map. The team believes this may be account-specific issue. I can't.
So let's pause on that then. So it wasn't account-specific. Yeah. It was actually due to the R&D objective window glitch. So the spinning disk on outside of people's bases and that sort of stuff. Basically, you'll notice that spinning disk has been removed, and by removing that, they've now removed the lag.
Yes, we have a collective. We have a collective suggestion. Just kill it. Who gives a crap? No one uses it anymore.
We don't want the spinning disc. We don't care about it. Yeah. Just let people do R&D in silence.
Okay. Yep. We've identified an issue with the Foundry when instantly upgrading. If a player selects the instant research, they will see the please wait module indefinitely. Refreshing will complete the upgrade. The issue has been bugged.
Okay.
There we go. Or was there another 16?
That's no. I'm not going to do that.
I'm surprised there wasn't another 16.
Okay, so
All right,
yeah,
they need to write one thing. Like, this is my feedback on your bug fixes included. Stop using big words. I'm a retard. I can't read this stuff every week. Use smaller words for me.
Okay,
Well,
this
we've
is
got the
called
voice
Battle Pirates for Knuckle Draggers in
Yeah,
the
this
east
is
of
Battle
London.
Pirates, not IQ of 170. Play the game. I can't do
Okay,
it.
okay.
That IQ test to log in is a rough deal. Let me tell you.
Yeah, just to log into it, like not even the questions. I can't even figure that part out.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
but ultimately, if you haven't already, refreshing your game obviously gets you the good restart, and the lag will have disappeared in your world. I've checked it as well, and it's all good again. So you can go out and start killing things. Right? Okay, it's Rue's Corner.
Hey,
Yay.
just a couple things to go over this week. One of the big things that we heard a lot on the page and in comms and everywhere else was people's frustration of their tanks dying instantly in some of the higher targets in the 80s. If you're using a remote mortar fleet, then you need to make sure that you've got a good countermeasure tank build, and there are plenty of builds on the website. And then your tank has to have a weapon to remote target for your backline fleets. And the longer the range of that spotter is, the better you are. So standard has always been a launcher, which is a range of 94. If you make a change and put a missile on your hull and include the solid fuel booster, because it's quicker, cheaper, and lighter than the guided missile system, then that gives you a longer range. And that will actually allow you to outrange the cold snaps that are in the 80s. A lot of people were actually driving straight into them expecting to survive the cold snap damage like they do in the current weekly, and that's just not going to work in the higher targets. So if you're not familiar with your tank, or you're just kind of one of those point and click people for the weekly FM, take the time before the next raid and become one with your tank. You want to make sure that you can drive it into close to the turrets without actually running into them. You want to make sure that you go ahead and you can kite them. Do that with the current targets, even though you are still going to get hit with the cold snaps, but practice doing that so that you can go ahead and have a much better raid next time.
I'm not gonna lie, I just like her accent. Like, I'm presuming that's why we hired her, right? Like, there's no other reason. We're just like, right, okay, she's got a good accent. Get her on the show. Come on, lads.
I'm saying nothing.
I just love her accent.
That's what I just said, you dick. Oh, so
Robin,
didn't I?
Robin, remember earlier when I said I'm a visual person?
Uh-huh.
I'm saying nothing more.
We get cute little pictures of kangaroos in the corner, and now it's appropriate.
Okay, well, moving on to the next thing. If you do have problems driving your tank, or you are frustrated where you've got your tank and your backline ships that are out there and trying to keep track of these three go here, this one goes over here, and the other one goes over there, take a look at using an auto hotkey or a macro. And just for a high level, basically a macro is an easy button. You assign a button to do specific things, and then a script runs in the background. And you can go ahead and use this for controlling a tank and then your backline fleet separately. So using the tank as an example, you would move your tank to one position, and then you would go ahead and hit your macro key, whatever you assign for, and then that would move your three backline ships into position behind your tank. So it makes it a lot easier to control that fleet, and it also saves you a lot of damage versus clicking through, one, two, three, 4, and 5. If we can move to the next one. So on the TFC webpage, on the home page, there's actually a link to the auto hotkey macro, and that will take you to a page that actually has how-to videos as well as sample macros that you can use. TFC has verified with KixEye that we can use macros to control fleets. That has been verified. You can go ahead and edit the macros to meet your personal needs. So for example, the one that Mark wrote out there was a right-click one that totally blew my computer up, so I actually adjusted it and took out the right click and assigned a different value to that key. So depending on how your computer is set up or how your mouse is, you can change those values to work for you. And Andrew has said that he is going to go ahead and update the macro page here very soon with some additional Mac macros. So if you're not a really good driver or you're not comfortable with doing it, take a couple of minutes, go watch Mark's video. He did a really good job of explaining how to set the macros up and use them and edit them, and I think you'll find that it's a lot easier to control your fleet for the raid that way.
Yeah, I mean, the basic nuts and bolts it was. I mean, I said to the admins earlier on today, before we decided to put these up, is macros still means you have to be at the keyboard and you still have to be controlling your fleet. It's not an automated thing where you can say, go and attack targets, please, and then walk away, come back an hour later and it's all done. Okay, so you still have to push a key on the keyboard or click a button on your mouse. So you can't step away from what it is you're doing. And that makes it fine. Okay, it's not an autonomous thing, okay, and it's not a robotic process, okay. It's actually he's a physical person to be there. Now, the reason I started doing this was I've got a friend of mine who plays the game and that sort of stuff, who is an ex-serviceman, and he actually struggles with rheumatoid arthritis, and he can't actually do the controlling of the technical fleets and that sort of stuff. So I looked into this, clarified the fact that we could use them, and subsequent to that, several other people have come back to me. People like, you know, like as a chap that's only got one finger on one of his hands and that sort of stuff, actually, but he still thinks he's 18-year-old and wants to go and kill ships. So actually, he uses macros to control a lot of his ships as well and that sort of stuff. So yes, it's a thing to make life, especially in hitting garrison targets, something that needs to be or can generally be quite complex to something quite simple. But you can also have some fun with macros. You can do some real funny things. I mean, I did over this raid weekend even put some Harlock carriers in with some ironclads, with some retargeting bits and bobs and that sort of stuff, and it was really, really funny. And I was sending ships in all different directions at the same time. I made a few videos and that sort of stuff, you know, just for a laugh. I finished my raid, so I was just amusing myself, really. And I'm working on the macro at the moment, actually, which is going to make BP playable with a joystick. Well, that's my plan anyway, for those that, you know, have real difficulties.
That's
and that
awesome.
sort of stuff. So that's my plan.
Awesome.
I don't know if I'll better do it, but I've got the first bit working. So basically, the ball piece of the mouse, you know, that used to be mouse use, it's laser now, but it used to be a ball. So I've got that bit working. So I'm trying to get the fast action keys working now. So replacing keys 1 to 5 with obviously just the normal keys on the joystick, which I'd be quite amusing. Then you can just sit in front of the TV and play Battle Pirates. I thought that'd be a laugh. So give it a go. Anyway, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'll try it myself first. One point I'll just say about macros. If you're going to run a macro, my advice from experience is test it with subs in a really low level salvage first. Okay, don't go and build a macro, then go out there and chuck it into the biggest target you've ever found, because when you die, you sail home, you look pretty stupid to yourself. And that's it. That's all I've got to say on macros. Anything else to add to anybody?
Every time you say macros, I think of Jim, and then I get upset. So stop it.
Okay. Scripts, macros. It's a macro, not a script. Okay, so there we go. All right. Good.
All right. What's next?
Driving the gridiron monolith with monoliths behind you might need a macro, because it sucks.
Yeah, and when you're drinking a lot, so macro makes it a lot easier.
Sucks.
You can actually macro and hold a beer at the same time. I've done it. It's good for that.
Oh boy.
The other thing too is lag. You know, when you point and click to a spot on the map with a macro, that's where the ships go. If it, you know, there's no lag, send it over here, a couple of extra inches and that kind of stuff. So it really helps if your system is lagging as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Right, so we're done. Let's think. George, you've got a closing point, haven't you? You were talking about R5 sits.
I did. I got some information back about custom service. Earlier in the show I said, send in a ticket, maybe they'll have mercy on you and give you the R5 instead of the Zerker. There is no mercy to give. You get the Zerker. You're out of luck.
Merciless.
So yep. Official word.
Is it appropriate to say get wrecked?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, that's
Okay. Fine. Get wrecked.
Yeah, it's time to literally.
Congratulations on your Berserker. You should have probably gotten at least the first level done or something. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Unless you joined the game in the last 12 months, because you wouldn't have built it in the first place, would you? Because things have moved on since then. So
at one time you spent like 1.5 million points 6 raids back to get the Berserker suddenly paid off for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
GG, well played. Game over.
Okay, so we're done. So enjoy your FM this week. Hunt out those little targets. Then that's going to be a bit of a chest drop thing and that sort of stuff. Let's see what's in there. It's supposed to be for obviously so just think about it. I wouldn't take in some real base level fleets if you'd be doing obviously like Punisher, ballistics and that sort of stuff. It does say for the icebreakers and obviously for the monolith. So but hell, I think everyone's going to go anyway.
The raid briefing said that too.
Yeah, finish. Yeah, don't take CNC wolves. But finish your FM first, or as far as you've got, and hey, go and give it a crack. What? It doesn't say it's a blitz target; it just says it's a target. So go have some fun.
I think it'll be nice to have something, because like if you're done with your FM and you've got your uranium and you're just chilling, it's a new challenging kind of target to try, and there's a good reward at the end. So I think that's something nice.
Oh, good point, actually. And,
Option.
yeah, Mike's just mentioned it in the chat there quickly. Okay, so you've got 2 at obviously at price pack 4. You've got 3 at price pack 5. So that means there's going to be no ship tokens this week, and you're going to get some basic stuff next week.
Okay. Yep. Awesome.
Good. Right, we're done. Okay. All it needs us to do is for us to say good night and have a jolly week. All.
Thank you for
Thanks,
all
everybody.
coming out to the show, everyone.
Everybody.
Lovely to see you all, apart from 99s. Please stay away.
Okay, take care, and
And
we'll
we
speak
shall
to you.
see you next Saturday.
That we will. Good night. all.
Good night, everybody.
Not everybody.